Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for Thok ast Thok Hard, where we face off against the mighty Ravana. This is the first primal style fight unlocked through the main scenario questline in Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward. I hope you brought your raid with you, as this fight has everyone abuzz with excitement. My name is Miss Tech and I'll be your dungeon guide. Over the course of the fight, Ravana will gain stacking damage buffs, so raid DPS is very important. You'll notice that the platform is quite small, with weak-looking fences all around the outer rim. As the fight progresses, these fences will be unavoidably destroyed by Ravana's attacks. As such, players should be aware of where the remaining fences stand at all times. Ravana has a very long frontal cone that can knock back tanks. As such, Ravana must never be facing the group. Ravana has three possible stances: a parry stance, a damage stance, and a defensive stance. Anytime Ravana casts the Seeing Wing, Ravana will enter his parry stance, knocking back and damaging any physical attackers for 5 seconds. The most common stance you'll see is Ravana's DPS stance, in which his outgoing damage is increased. In this stance, he will also cast one of 3 types of slaughter: Prelude, Regular, and Swift Slaughter. Each of these are 15-second casts, allowing players to get ready for what's to come. The first one you'll see is Prelude to Slaughter. Players need to be ready to avoid a number of AoEs. Getting hit by any of these will put a vulnerability debuff on you. After Prelude, Ravana will cast Slaughter. Again, lots to dodge, including 2 players marked up with huge AoE markers. These 2 players should move away from others, including each other, to minimize damage. Before we see Swift Slaughter, Ravana will spawn these butterflies. It is absolutely imperative that all DPS switch and kill these as fast as possible, especially the Moongana, which has substantially more health than the rest. The longer these ads are up, the more swords they will spawn on the platform. After some time, Ravana will cast Bloody Fuller, lifting the entire raid group into the air. The number of swords on the platform will determine how many attacks and stacks of vulnerability Ravana will hit us with, before casting a massive AoE attack. Ideally, you'll have no swords, minimizing the possible damage this attack does. Next, watch out for Pillars of Heaven, a knockback and damage ability based on proximity. Position yourself against a wall to avoid excess damage and getting punted off the platform. Next up, we'll see Ravana's defensive stance. In this stance, he fixates and casts all abilities on the second threat target, which should be the off-tank. The rest of the group should stand behind to avoid damage and to deal with the orbs that spawn and tether to random players. If you find yourself tethered to an orb, run away from others until the line breaks. Should you get hit by an orb, you'll be debuffed with vulnerability. At this point, Ravana will switch back to his DPS stance and will cast his last possible slaughter attack, Swift Slaughter. 4 players will be marked up with these sword marks. The number of swords on their mark denotes the order that they will be hit and debuffed by the boss. These players should move away from each other to avoid excess damage and extra stacks of the debuff. Remember to avoid the obvious AoEs. From here on out, healers will have to watch it for Atmalenga, an AoE stomp that will deal raid-wide damage, focusing on anyone with excess vulnerability stacks. At this point, you've seen nearly every possible mechanic, and it's just a rinse and repeat until the boss is down. Keep an eye out for what type of slaughter he's casting, and deal with it appropriately. And there you have it, Thok ast Thok Hard. Not bad for our first primal of Heavensward. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Up next, we'll dive into some all. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.